if you're avoiding spoilers for How to Train Your Dragon 2, because trust me, they are all over the internet, you might want to avoid this book. There's nothing I love more than just holding an art book in my hand. I mean, I love animation, I love everything about it, so when I get the chance to look at an art of book that really goes behind the scenes of a making of a film, I love it. So when this book came to my door, I was freaking out because one, it's How to Train Your Dragon. The first one was incredible. All of us are super pumped for the second one. And two, it's an art book, and you know, I'm just really excited. So let's get into this review. So the first thing about this book is it's divided a little differently than most DreamWorks Animation books. Normally you kind of have a section about characters and landscapes and then the classic building a scene, which is a staple for all DreamWorks Animation art books. But this book is not laid out that way. It actually goes chronologically based on the events of the movie. It's really interesting because the first 30 pages doesn't have any characters at all. It's a lot of architecture, a lot of props, a lot of really detailed designs. And you know, at first you're like, where are the characters? Where are the dragons? And you know, I still really appreciated it. I really enjoyed that they kind of took a lot of time into showing us the behind the scenes of all the sets and the props and everything that goes into that, because you need that before you put the characters in the scene. You know, another thing I really liked about this book was how varied all the art was. I mean, you have sketches, you have final pieces, you have just very rough 3D models, you know, with a little hiccup so you can see like proportions. It was really neat. I mean, they even have, you know, sketches where they have the artist who said, okay, this, and they just have their notes next to the side, which sometimes I think get erased out or they're just not really included in art books. So I really liked that those were included because it was just different. And so the first 30 pages, there's really a lot to look into because there's just a lot of sets, a lot of props. So if you love all these behind the scenes things that you normally don't get to look at, this is going to be the book for you. After that, of course, we can't have an art book without characters. They start with Hiccup, obviously, he's our main character and our hero, and they talk about him, and you know, there's really not much they could do with his design. His design was established, and really they just had to mature him up a little bit. So we get to see a little exploration of them playing with his design, but for the most part it's pretty set in stone. Another thing that we go into detail with Hiccup is actually his flight suit, because in the first movie, spoiler, he loses his leg, and so he needs to design a way to fly. In this movie, he not only, you know, figures out a way to fly on Hiccup, but he figures out a way to fly himself. So he's creating this suit, and so we get a look at different variations of his leg and his suit. And I thought that was really neat because that's apparently going to be a very important part of this movie and something different that wasn't in the other movie. So again, a lot of emphasis on props, but I liked it. So my favorite character section of the book was definitely the Astrid section. I just really liked her designs in this section. It wasn't as detailed as Hiccup's, obviously, with his suit and leg, but I just really loved the concept art that they put here. This section right here is by an artist called Megan Nicole Dong, and just kind of this sketchy, not really defined style that's really cool. And so I was staring at these pictures for a long time because when I discover a new art style that I like, I kind of fall in love with it and I just look at it and look at it. So I really enjoy her section. You get to look at outfits. Obviously, I'm a girl of outfits. They're more in a winter environment, so we get to look at fur coats and how that plays with a girl versus some of the guys, and I thought, you know, they just did a really great job with that. So obviously in this section we talk about the dragons that go with each of the people. To me that wasn't as interesting as the people themselves. I like humans more than animals, I guess you would say. Sorry, animals. So yes, there are lots of dragons in there, so if you're a dragophile then you will be set. Okay, so next section is called Part 3, New Worlds to Explore. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't know, but I'm assuming this is the part where they go off and they explore new worlds, right? This is where we're introduced to new characters. This section is beautiful. They're on the coastline, there's these trees that jet out of the water and they're really tall, then there's sort of these ice formations in the water. Really incredible. I really liked this section. We're introduced to a new character, Eret, and we get to see him, his designs. He's a new character, so we get a little bit more development with him. And also where he lives, which is a fort, Really cool. I really liked this section. I can't wait to see it in the movie because Eric seemed like a really cool character. So the next section, part 4, is the World of Ice. So obviously we got a little glimpse of the World of Ice in the previous section. It was a little icy, but this is full-on Ice World, and I think this is really cool because I love when they explore new environments and things that weren't in the first movie. And so in this section we're introduced to Valka, who, no spoilers in case you haven't seen it, but she's kind of like a Jane Goodall of dragons. She has this sort of rescue where she rescues dragons and then likes to, you know, make them her friends. So within Valka's sections, there's actually a lot of pages about her and her development and the dragon's nest where she raises all these dragons. I thought it was really cool because there's a lot of variation in her design and what she looked like from when we first meet her to when she kind of has like this mask that she wears and she's hiding. We don't really know if she's a good guy or bad guy. I liked that. I thought that was a really cool section to look at her because she's really integral to the story, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but she's really integral to the story. There wouldn't be a first movie without her. Now, in this section, there are a lot of dragons, so if you love dragons, make sure to read part 4 because Valka is basically the keeper of dragons. So this is where we really go in detail different types of dragons, exploration of dragons. It's really great. In section 4, there's also just a 1 page about the music, which I thought was interesting because usually you don't see that in art books because art books are very visual mediums, and obviously you can't really have much music going on in an art book, but there was a page with a lot of text from the composer about the music and what they chose to do in these scenes, which I thought was nice. I mean, come on, we can all read so we can imagine, so it was good. Okay, part 5 is where we go into spoiler territory, so if you've been avoiding everything about this movie and you don't want to know anything about it, about the villain, about anything, then just turn off this video, come back later and finish it up. And definitely don't look at this book yet because part 5 is the world of Drago. Drago, obviously, now that I've spilled the beans, is the main villain. He's really cool looking. There's a lot of development about him and his dragons and what he looks like. Really cool. I liked that section. It's good. And lastly, part 6 is called World War of Dragons. Obviously, this is the big epic battle. This was a really cool section, but obviously if you haven't seen the movie, it definitely gave away what was going to happen. It doesn't really tell you who wins this epic World War of Dragons, but I think if we can all put 2 and 2 together, we can figure out that maybe Hiccup and his gang? I don't know, but I thought this was really cool. There are some really scary giant dragons. I love how, like, in the world of How to Train Your Dragon, the biggest, scariest dragon is usually the bad guy. Hey. As I mentioned before, there isn't the classic DreamWorks building a scene section in here, which is kind of disappointing because that has become such a staple. It goes even more and even further behind the scenes into a different sequence from a DreamWorks film, and so they go into detail more so than you would on other pages about their thought processes, what they did, and it takes you step by step from, you know, concept to final rendering, and it's really, really neat. So I'm not quite sure why they took this out for How to Train Your Dragon 2. I don't know, I think based on looking at this, there are plenty of cool scenes that they could have used, but it's up to them. As a result, I feel that this book is significantly smaller than other art books. Like when I first picked it up, I'm like, whoa, thin, like where's the art? So that was a little disappointing because it just felt like it was lacking, you know, 50 extra pages of material that we're used to. Obviously because a big section's missing, just saying. So guys, the Art of How to Train Your Dragon 2. It's good, you should own it. If you love dragons, definitely own it. If you're a fan of the How to Train Your Dragon series and you have the first book, well obviously you need the second book, you need to complete your collection. Come on, we're all Ariels here. We need to complete our collection. Oh, my collection. Wait, is that even Ariel? Oh, no, that's Sebastian. Oh, I see. Your collection. If your father knew about this! Yeah, anyways. So I would definitely recommend buying The Art of How to Train Your Dragon 2 if you're avoiding spoilers. Maybe wait until the movie comes out. This book actually came out about 2 months before the movie, which is interesting. Usually they do it a week before, or they even hold out until the movie's released and they release it the week after. Not quite sure why they were so excited, but they are pumping this movie up. I'm really excited to see this movie, and this art made me even more excited. Yes, the art is kind of similar in the same style and vein as the first movie. That's expected with the trilogy. They're not going to go completely off the wall and make this very artistic and abstract. So if you're looking for something different, well, you're really not going to get it with this book, but you're going to get more exploration of the characters and the world you love. So definitely buy it. Use our Amazon link right here to purchase it. And again, let me know in the comments below who is your favorite dragon rider. I'm interested to know. Astrid in reading this book kind of became my favorite, but we'll see once I see the movie how I feel about her. And of course, everyone loves the heartthrob Hiccup. So let me know in the comments below who your favorite dragon rider is. And until next time, I'm Morgan, and this is the Rotoscopers YouTube. You want to see Jimmy? Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy. Jimmy, say hello. Jimmy. He's a good boy. He's like, what the heck is happening? Okay, don't bother me.